Yeah, I think the idea of the kind of self-compassion came through very strongly when you were saying about like even just the willingness to allow yourself the bar of only doing one breath. A lot of people I feel like a lot of people carry a kind of a condition to have a lack of self-compassion that is just there implicitly when someone wouldn't if someone wouldn't let themselves do that because they think, oh no, that's not enough, I need to do 10 minutes or nothing. There's intrinsically a kind of like quite a harsh judgment about you about oneself. If you say it's I'm not good enough if I can only do one breath, you're really investing in a story of that's quite hostile to yourself unnecessarily, like. And I think cultivating mindfulness is a really it goes against maybe our evolved nature, and so I think starting with one breath is an absolutely wonderful way to start. There's a mindfulness teacher, wonderful teacher called Ruth King, who has this 5 by 5 approach, where she says if you do 5 minutes every day, 5 days a week for 5 weeks, by the end of that you've cultivated a practice, which I think is really useful. And yeah, if you can't do 5, do 1, and if you can't do 1, do a single breath. But even in the preliminary practice of trying to cultivate some level of self-compassion, I think would really set you up well, right? So you kind of touched on earlier that there can be this if you're not aware of the necessity for self-compassion, you can get this feeling that the ego, your sense of self, is the enemy and you're supposed to destroy it or obliterate it, and if it's present, then something's wrong. And that's a misunderstanding, right? I would say you should be befriending
Definitely.
every aspect of your mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, what we talked about earlier about being kind to your mind, you could, be kind to your ego. Like the mind is thoughts. Like, when people say, I'm going to make ego my enemy, or I'm going to fight my ego, I always think like, who's going to be fighting this ego? That is just
Yeah.
another ego, right? The I that's fighting the ego is the ego. So it's kind of like chasing a tail. So it just really, really doesn't work. In fact, I'll share with you another story from this monk, which is a beautiful one about how he tried to do this and how it went completely wrong. And that is, this was a young monk, and he was keen like I was at the beginning. Yeah, I want to get this enlightenment stuff. I'm going to get into this deep meditation. And he found this beautiful cave, and this cave was right next to this tea plantation, and he was originally from England, and the only traffic problem they had was just one van coming into the village once a week. So it's very quiet, the villagers didn't disturb him at all, and he got into these beautiful meditation states like you were, but instead of looking at the wood, he was looking at the cave wall. And so he was getting in these wonderful meditation states. But then after a few weeks, I guess his ego came in and he started thinking, I wonder what that girlfriend's up to, or I wonder if she's still available, those kind of unmonkish thoughts. And so just like you described, and as many people do, thought is the enemy or ego is the enemy, started fighting that thought. And it just got stronger and stronger and stronger. And after weeks of frustration, he didn't know what to do. He looked at a Buddha statue and says, what should I do? And the response came back, which is make a deal with your mind. He said, okay, that's a good idea. So mind, we're going to meditate, but from 3 to 4 p.m., you can think of whatever you want. And so the next day he was excited. He thought the mind might cooperate, but actually still he had all these thoughts. He was fighting. So it comes to 3 p.m. He thought, okay, I give up. I'll stick to the deal. Okay, think of whatever you want. And he said he didn't think of a single thought for the whole hour. He felt every single breath for the full hour. So this idea, which is so universal, to fight our minds or fight our egos or even fight our judgmental self or fight our self-critical self. This can happen with self-compassion. People say, okay, I need to cultivate self-compassion. I need to get rid of the self-critical side. And so they beat themselves up when the self-critical mind comes up. So it's kind of, we just have to make peace and be kind with whatever comes up, whatever arises in consciousness.
Yeah, I think the ego really is nothing but the struggle, nothing but the attempt to control. So when he was trying to control it, then that's what brings it into existence, right? And then as soon as you let go of the control, then it's not there anymore. So I think, the idea of formal practice as not as punishment for your ego, but as a kind of a nice, gentle kind of way to go like, okay, have a little rest. Think about whatever you want to think, but we're not using you to solve problems. If you want to try and solve problems, you can, but then you'll probably get bored of that, and then you might think it's quite nice to not constantly have your mind racing. So yeah.